There's no sugarcoating it, and there's definitely no point in pretending otherwise. The biggest concern in Pittsburgh Steelers training camp right now is the offense, and specifically the offensive line. That's not alarmist, and it's not just preseason nitpicking. It's the cold, hard truth. Anyone who's been watching closely out in Latrobe can see it. The pads are popping, the drills are running, but the offense, it's sputtering. And before anyone jumps in with it's early, sure it is. But you don't want to see the same issues that plagued this team last year already showing their face again. You want to see growth, urgency, and signs of life. Not another repeat of slow starts and conservative execution. What's especially glaring is how most of the pressure is coming off the edges. Not just inside pressure. Not stunts or exotic. Blitzes, we're talking rushers screaming around the outside, beyond the tackles, into the backfield with minimal resistance. And that's not always just on the offensive linemen. Sometimes those responsibilities shift to the tight ends. Sometimes it's on the wide receivers who need to chip and assist before releasing. Either way, it's not happening. The coaching staff has to adapt and fast. Arthur Smith and everyone under his umbrella need to recognize that the same miscommunications and protection breakdowns we've seen in practice won't magically vanish when it's time to face real competition. But, and this is important, even in the middle of all that noise and frustration, there are reasons to be optimistic. Legitimate reasons. Not fantasy, not wishful thinking. Real, tangible signs that things could be better than they seem right now. So let's talk about those. Let's talk about the bright spots because yes, even with the chaos up front, there are a few players who are already showing that they're built for this. One of them, DK Metcalf. The man has been everything Pittsburgh hoped for and then some. Now, if you followed his career in Seattle, you probably heard all the chatter about his route running being a little lazy at times or how he wasn't always fully locked in. That was the narrative. But whatever that was back then, it hasn't followed him here. Metcalf has come in laser focused. He's been sharp, deliberate, and this might be the most surprising part, committed to being a technician. That wasn't the expectation. The hope, maybe. But what he's showing on the field right now exceeds that. A lot of that probably has to do with his chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. You can't fake that connection, and those two have clearly built something real already. They're roommates in camp. They've been seen walking together, talking between drills, working through timing routes on the side when nobody's watching. That matters. In football, just like in life, when you care about the person next to you, you're more invested. Metcalf looks like he's found a reason to lock in, and Rodgers might be it. It's not just about being on the same page either. Metcalf is bringing something this team desperately needed, a true number one wide receiver presence. He's an upgrade over George Pickens in almost every sense. And that's not a knock on Pickens' talent. It's just reality. Metcalf has been a pro's pro so far. On the field, off the field, in the locker room, he's setting a tone. And that tone is serious. Now, while we're comparing this year to last year, we have to talk about Caleb Johnson. Because yes, it's early. And yes, he hasn't played a real NFL game yet. But even with all that in mind, you can already tell this kid has something different. Something the Steelers have been missing at running back. It's no disrespect to Najee Harris, even though some fans might take it that way. But the traits Johnson is showing, Harris never had those consistently. Johnson hits the hole, not hesitates, not stutter steps, not waits for something to develop. He goes, and then once he gets touched, he fights. Every yard is earned. He falls forward. He doesn't go down easy. He doesn't get stopped in his tracks. That might sound small, but it's not. That changes everything. Think about how many drives last season started with a 1-yard gain, or worse, a run stuffed at the line. That sets the tone for a second and long, forces bad decisions, predictable play calls, and kills momentum. Johnson can shift that completely. He has vision, decisiveness, and physicality. There's no dancing behind the line. There's no confusion. And maybe most impressive of all, he seems to understand the role already. He's not just trying to be flashy. He's trying to be effective. And yeah, there were rare moments when Najee looked like he wanted to do that too, usually after. Jaylen Warren had a big run and made it clear the hole was, in fact, there. But Johnson brings that mindset from snap one. That's different. Of course, the offensive line is still the elephant in the room. There's no pretending otherwise. But not everyone up front has been struggling. In fact, one guy has quietly been a real positive in all of this. Troy Fautanu. He's been consistent. He's been smart. And most of all, he hasn't let the chaos around him drag him down. That's big. It's easy for young offensive linemen to start pressing when things break down, to try to do too much, to overcompensate and end up making things worse. Fautanu isn't doing that. He's sticking to his assignment, trusting his technique and doing his job. It's not perfect. He'd be the first to say that. But you can see the confidence in his movement, his posture, and his communication. He looks like a guy who belongs. And if you watched him last year during that brief flash in Denver, you'd remember that same energy. This isn't new. This is who he is. Now, before anyone asks why other players aren't being mentioned, tight ends, Calvin Austin, others, it's not because they've been bad. It's because they've still got more to show. Tight ends especially have to get more involved in protections. Too many edge rushers are getting free, and that starts with better awareness and execution. Calvin Austin. He's fast, he's agile, and he's got great instincts. But now's the time for him to take that next step. Camp is where separation starts, literally and figuratively. And we can't ignore the most important piece in all this, Aaron Rodgers. Has he been perfect? No. But has he been good? Yes. Better than expected even. The questions that mattered most heading into camp, is he healthy? Can he still throw? Is the mobility there post Achilles? All seem to have positive answers. So far, he looks composed, he looks motivated, and most importantly, he looks like he cares. You can't fake that in a guy like Rodgers. He doesn't do things halfway. If he was just here for a paycheck, you'd feel it. But right now, he's involved. He's present. And that's more than enough for now to believe that this thing might actually come together if the right pieces fall into place. But there's still a long road ahead. Practices don't tell the full story. Preseason will help, but even that isn't the final exam. The real answers come when the lights turn on in week 1. Still, if you're paying attention, you can see the potential. You can see the core starting to take shape. And as shaky as things have looked in spots, there's just enough to keep hope alive. And speaking of hope, one of the more intriguing conversations that started floating around the fan base and even internally among analysts is about Darnell Washington. More specifically, the idea of using him as an emergency left tackle. Now, let's get this out of the way early. This isn't a suggestion that Washington should suddenly become a full-time offensive lineman. No one's seriously arguing that he should be moved permanently from tight end to tackle. But it does raise an interesting hypothetical, and it tells you a lot about just how desperate things could get on that offensive line if certain players don't step up. The thing is, Darnell wouldn't hesitate. That's the first and probably most important detail in this whole scenario. He wouldn't sulk, he wouldn't feel slighted, and he definitely wouldn't see it as some kind of demotion. Quite the opposite, actually. Darnell is one of those rare players who loves contact. He embraces it, he thrives on it. He thrives on, and when you watch him block, really watch him in one-on-one drills, it's impossible not to notice how dominant he is. He doesn't just slow defenders down, he swallows them. Ends disappear into his frame. Edge rushers bounce off him like it's nothing. He's a black hole in cleats. Some of that sure comes down to sheer size. He's massive. But it's also technique, leverage, attitude. He takes pride in it. Blocking isn't a chore for him. It's a point of pride. So if the team ever needed him in a pinch to slide over and play a few snaps at tackle, he'd do it without blinking. You can feel that confidence in his game. But from the team's perspective, that move, even as a temporary fix, comes with some real cost. Because while you might gain some security on the blind side, you'll be removing a unique offensive weapon from the game. You'll be taking away a tight end who can give you both blocking and receiving at a high level. That's not a trade-off you want to make lightly, especially when the offensive identity under Arthur Smith is still very much in flux. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The Pittsburgh Steelers have made a significant move to solidify their defensive line by signing star defensive tackle Chris Jones to a long-term contract extension, a deal that many analysts view as a cornerstone for the franchise's future. Jones, known for his overwhelming presence on the field and his ability to disrupt opposing offenses, has quickly become a fan favorite and a vital component of the Steelers' defense. The announcement of this contract comes after a season where Jones consistently demonstrated his elite skills, accumulating impressive stats and showing leadership on and off the field. The extension signals the organization's commitment to building a championship contending roster around its defensive core, emphasizing the importance of maintaining stability in key positions. This strategic move by the Steelers also highlights their confidence in Jones' ability to continue performing at a high level and influence games significantly. By securing Jones for the long haul, the Steelers send a message to the rest of the league that they are focused on maintaining a dominant defense, which has traditionally been the hallmark of the franchise. The impact of this signing extends beyond just the defensive line. It strengthens the entire team's morale and competitiveness, fostering a culture of resilience and determination. Pittsburgh's fans, known for their passionate support, have expressed overwhelming excitement and optimism about the team's prospects moving forward. Chris Jones' presence on the field has always been synonymous with toughness, skill, and relentless effort, qualities that the Steelers value deeply. This contract extension not only rewards Jones' past performances, but also invests in the potential for even greater achievements in the coming years. The Steelers front office deserves credit for recognizing and acting decisively to retain such a vital player, ensuring continuity and sustained excellence. The future looks bright for Pittsburgh as they enter the next seasons with a reinforced defensive line anchored by a true paradigm in Chris Jones. This move could very well shape the trajectory of the franchise's success in the highly competitive NFL landscape. As Jones continues to develop and lead, the Steelers are poised to compete at the highest level with a defense that opponents will find increasingly difficult to penetrate. The long-term contract represents a milestone for both the player and the organization, symbolizing mutual trust and a shared vision for greatness. In summary, this signing marks a pivotal moment in the Steelers' ongoing quest for glory, solidifying their defense with a player of exceptional talent and determination. It is a clear indication that Pittsburgh is building not just for the present, but for a future filled with promise and potential triumphs. Chris Jones remains a central figure in the Steelers' ambitious plans, embodying the spirit and grit that define this historic franchise. Chris Jones' contract extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers has generated significant buzz across the NFL community, highlighting the importance of retaining top-tier talent in a league that constantly demands excellence and adaptability. Jones, who has been a dominant force on the defensive front, has consistently proven his ability to affect the outcome of games with his pass rushing prowess, run-stopping skills, and overall versatility. The Steelers' decision to lock him down for the long term reflects a broader strategic vision aimed at maintaining competitive advantage through a strong, resilient defense. Jones's role within the team extends beyond his physical contributions. He is also viewed as a leader in the locker room, setting the tone for work ethic and dedication that inspires teammates. His influence has been palpable, especially in crucial moments when the defense needs to step up and deliver. The contract also underscores the Steelers' recognition of the evolving nature of the NFL, where defensive players who can consistently disrupt offenses are invaluable assets. In an era where offensive schemes are becoming increasingly sophisticated, having a player like Jones who can read and react quickly is essential for success. Pittsburgh's fans have enthusiastically welcomed the news, understanding that this signing bolsters their team's chances of making deep playoff runs. The front office's proactive approach in securing Jones also reflects well on their ability to manage cap space wisely while prioritizing talent retention. Moreover, Jones's work ethic and commitment to improvement make him a player who will likely continue to elevate his game in the years to come. This extension is not merely a contractual formality, it represents a foundational building block for the Steelers' defense. It sends a message to the rest of the league that Pittsburgh remains a formidable force, unwilling to let go of its premier players. The synergy between Jones and the coaching staff is expected to enhance the defensive schemes further, allowing the team to adapt to any offensive challenge. This alignment of interests and goals between player and team is a recipe for sustained success. As Jones embarks on this new chapter with the Steelers, expectations are high for continued dominance and leadership. The signing could also influence other players' decisions, encouraging them to commit to the Steelers' culture and vision. Ultimately, this contract extension is a testament to the mutual respect and belief in a shared future between Chris Jones and the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. It is an exciting time for both the player and the franchise as they prepare to face new challenges and opportunities in the seasons ahead. The impact of this signing will likely be felt both on the field and in the broader dynamics of the team's development. Pittsburgh's defensive identity, long a hallmark of their success, is now more secure with Jones anchoring the line. The NFL landscape is competitive, but with Jones locked in for the long haul, the Steelers are positioned to remain among the elite defenses in the league. This decision is a clear signal of intent, ambition, and the pursuit of excellence that defines the Steelers brand. The Steelers' decision to offer Chris Jones a long-term contract extension is also a reflection of their broader organizational philosophy, which emphasizes building a team around core players who exemplify toughness, consistency, and leadership. Jones fits this mold perfectly, having demonstrated his value not only through his on-field production, but also through his professionalism and commitment to the Steelers' culture. The franchise has a rich history of defensive excellence, and Jones' signing ensures that tradition continues into the future. This extension is about more than just numbers or contract terms. It symbolizes the Steelers' dedication to cultivating a cohesive, high-performing unit that can compete at the highest level year after year. Jones' impact is seen not only in his individual stats, but also in how he elevates the play of those around him. His presence forces offenses to adjust their game plans, opening opportunities for his teammates to make plays. The team's coaching staff has praised Jones for his work ethic, football IQ, and relentless pursuit of improvement, qualities that align perfectly with the Steelers' values. Furthermore, the extension brings stability to a key position, allowing the Steelers to focus on other roster needs with confidence. In the highly competitive NFL, where player movement is common and team chemistry can be fragile, locking in cornerstone players like Jones is critical for sustained success. The Steelers fan base, known for their loyalty and passion, can take pride in seeing a player like Jones commit long-term to the franchise, reinforcing a sense of continuity and hope for future triumphs. This contract also serves as a model for other teams, illustrating the importance of investing in players who are not just talented, but also embody the spirit of the franchise. Jones' leadership extends off the field as well, where he is active in community initiatives and team events, further strengthening his connection to Pittsburgh. The Steelers' approach in negotiating this deal reflects a balance between rewarding past performance and anticipating future contributions. This balance is crucial in managing the salary cap while maintaining a competitive roster. Jones' extension is expected to have ripple effects throughout the organization, boosting morale and setting a positive tone for upcoming contract negotiations. The synergy created by keeping such a pivotal player with the team enhances Pittsburgh's prospects of contending for championships. In essence, this contract extension is more than a business transaction. It's a reaffirmation of the Steelers' identity and ambition. Chris Jones stands as a symbol of what the franchise represents: resilience, excellence, and a relentless drive to win. His continued presence is likely to inspire both teammates and fans alike, fueling the team's quest for glory in the years ahead. The Pittsburgh Steelers have made a smart strategic move that could define their trajectory for a long time, anchored by one of the best defensive talents in the league. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.